Good morning, friends. Let me wish all my viewers a very happy, colorful, and a pleasant Holi. Today, I'll be talking about yet another interesting topic, and that's called hot air factor, especially uh, for salespersons, because they got to convince a lot of people, they got to meet a lot of people who talk too much. So today's topic will be hot air factor, how full of it you are. Sometimes salespeople get a bad rap. Sometimes they create it. Sales requires, I agree, great deal of self-confidence, but there is a fine line between self-confidence and cockiness. A finer line between assured and assurance and arrogance, and the finest line between proud and egotistical. As a professional salesperson, my friend, there is a career difference between self-talk, self-performance, the right way, and loose lips sink ships, they call it. And that's an ultra wrong way. One has to be very careful delivering each and every word, and especially if you are going for sales and marketing. Very rightly said. Loose lips sink ships. Salespersons are not the most loved group of professionals anywhere to begin with. Keep that in mind. We rank above politicians, tax collectors, and especially lawyers, but below dentists and obviously the dog catchers. All that a salesperson can hope to do is establish a great or a good reputation and let that propel him into success ultimately to sell what he is selling. Since the prospect buys the salesperson first, I have been telling earlier also, reputation is as valuable and critical an element as he or she can have. How is yours? One bad event, one bad situation or story can ruin your entire hard work. You're back to square one and your credibility is at stake. Continuing stories of neglect or over-promising breed career destruction. A salesperson is self-delusion, failure to admit the problem and thinking nothing is wrong will make the situation even worse. Sales hot air, my friend, can occur only at the lowest level and starting to the topper or the upper levels. Customers, prospects, bosses, and co-workers are all potential victims, remember. Come on, you say, get the point. Give us some examples of self-destructive talk when you begin talking. And there's a few examples which comes to mind when you talk. Examples of the hot air is, you call it BTNA. Bragging, big talk, and no action. Just talking. No execution. BTNA is an acronym for a big talk and no action. Too much time taking about the sales you are going to make and not enough time making them and implementing them. It amounts to bragging too soon. Besides, the deal is signed, sealed, and a check delivered. And bragging too soon and bragging too much. No one but wants to hear only. If you really need to hear yourself, You record yourself and replay it in a car until you get as sick of it as others. Bragging at the expense of others. Beat the opportunity competition. You got to be better than the other person when you talk. But don't beat them into the ground. You are failure. You're talking good. They're presenting best. When it comes to ground, you are failed even to sell even one product of yours. You are a full failure in the ground. A variation of this is making someone else look like a fool. Bragging about someone you took advantage of or being tricked. Using others as scapegoats to get yourself off the hook is very important. Better known as covering your butt or the inability to accept responsibility, my friends. Blaming others for your failures, for your failings is obvious to those who are listening and make a fool out of the teller. Another thing I feel is exaggerating the facts. You cannot exaggerate the facts and sounds like a lie. Each year the fish that got away increases in size. Stay within the parameters of what you know to be true or less. Understand, it's always better to be right and truthful. You cannot presume that the people you are talking to they do not have an understanding and do not have a brains. They may be even wiser than you. So why exaggerate? Just present the facts as they are. Guard against using insincere words. You should be sincere whatever you are telling, because this adds to honesty and truthfulness. Honesty, truthfully, and quite frankly, and I mean sir, there are the words, synonym words, there are alternative words you can use to convince the prospect buyer. Talking past the sales, I say. Knowing when to shut up and go quiet and go home. Employing any one of the above elements after a sales have been consummated but before you leave will jeopardize the sale. It's known as the buying it back, and it happens often. The rule of thumb in sales is that less is more. There are certainly, when you talk big, when you have a lot of hot air, there are interesting negative effects of your loose stocks. It wastes, why? I feel, first is, it wastes everyone's time. It's the most unproductive and negative use of your time possible even. It makes you look like a fool. It lowers your respect factor. It tarnishes your credibility. It gets people talking behind your back. It prevents advancement. It can get you fired even. And who wants that? No one else. But these side effects are linked to the people with severe cases of hot hair. My dear friend, how do you know what kind of conversation you're doing? How do you know if you are blowing hot air inadvertently or knowingly? Well, no one is without some guilt. It's hard not to brag. If you just made a big sale and took it out and under the nose of your biggest competitor, my friends, I will just sum up the rules simply. And the rules are, don't say anything behind anyone's back you would say to their face. Don't say something you wouldn't want said about you. Don't say anything you have to remember. Lies must be remembered or you get stepped up with truth. Don't say anything you couldn't say in front of your people. The key is to temper your remarks with humility. Your challenge is always bring out the good side in your words. Your challenge to employ the self-discipline in getting past a hot air. My friend, your challenge is self-rule and self-rule or self-destruct. It's hard. Remember, it's hard to brag if you just made a big sale and look in front of you, under nose your biggest competitor. My friend, get out of this habit of hot taker, big loose talk. Be sincere, be truthful, be honest, and then talk. You'll be effective. Thank you very much.